Okay, we're outside now and we're gonna go through some obstacles and how to prepare your horse for an obstacle course. Here at Windy Hill Farm, I've got a very nice obstacle course that I built years ago. It's worked out well for us and I like it. It's good for the horses, it's good for the riders. Years ago I read in the cavalry manual, one of the cavalry instructors said there's never been a perfectly flat battlefield. And I was very intrigued on how the U.S. cavalry and the German cavalry would school their horses in what they called a proving ground. And they said, well, there's never been a perfectly flat battlefield. So they would school their horses in a 10 or 15 inch slope. So they would teach their horses to canter and to maneuver with the rider on its back, doing different procedures on a grade. So I came down here and I built this obstacle course at a grade. So Brandon, if you want to scan across here, I don't know what the percentage of the grade is of this course, but my purpose of this was, it's not about obstacles. It's about us out here generating trust with this horse and helping him navigate his fear and learning how to manage his fear and build his courage. So all of these things, and we'll go over here over the next few videos, the purpose of all this is we don't start out with the most difficult ones first. We start out with very minor things and we build ourselves up. I like to take the horses and work them through all the obstacles in hand first. I think that works the best. I want him feeling good about being out here and around all these things, and I just don't want somebody out here spurring on a horse, forcing him through these obstacles. I mean, that's not long lasting and that doesn't work, okay? What we're doing is we want him to connect his brain to his feet. So, you know, you're sitting on a horse's back, you're kind of a connection between his mouth, comes through the reins, through your hands, down through clear to his feet, all right? So you're kind of the messenger here. And when this is all worked out and you're done, he should go through all of these obstacles gladly. And he should be very obedient and very brave. Well, that doesn't happen by accident. You know, we have to come out here and encounter certain things and get him putting his feet on things and get him going through things that he's not certain about, but we have to prove to him he's not going to get hurt. So, you know, all the horses are convinced they're going to die, it seems like, to start with. So we have to convince him he's not. And so everything you encounter that's new, he's going to be very reluctant, he's going to be very suspicious, but that's his job. He's trying to keep himself out of trouble, because so far in his life probably he hasn't been able to trust humans to do that for him. So now what my goal is here today, I'm going to use Petey, which, you know, he's an old pro at this stuff, but what I want to do is just show you the thought process that goes into this. You know, when the new horses come in that are green and are never been anywhere, you know, you got to start out at a certain procedure. So that thought process is what goes into this. It works very well. So what I do is, you've seen in prior videos, which I encourage you watch, I can't overemphasize to you, don't skip any steps. You got to start back at the beginning. You can't start at the end. And if you saw in other videos, we worked with walking on plywood, we walked over tarps, and we built courage. Very simple things, all right? So then we come out here, we come outside. Well, I'm not going to come out here and work on difficult things until I've conquered some simple things. Like, he's got to know how to lunge. He's got to be soft in his pole. You know, he's got to be able to give, and he's got to be controllable. You know, he's got to respond to me and be controllable. If he's not controllable, don't come out here, he's going to make a fool of you, okay? So we have to obtain control and relaxation first. And until you get that worked out, don't bother with this stuff. It's not going to work. Okay, so now what I like to do is I'll come out here like this, and I'm just going to take my horse and work him around. And I'm not going to walk over the poles first. Okay. These are, I don't know, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 railroad ties, okay? I spend a lot of time on these railroad ties, riding and in hand, okay? So it kind of seems silly, but I'm asking him to think about where he's putting his feet down. Okay? I want him to see how Petey thought about where he put his feet down. You'd be amazed. You get a horse that's been formally trained in dressage by a real fancy lady somewhere. You walk him over those poles right there, he'll hit every one of them. Stumble like a drunk down through here. Well, see, I don't want that, because I want him to have his brain connected to his feet. I don't want him daydreaming and thinking about being somewhere else. I want him to think about what he's doing and where he's putting his feet down. And what I found, if you do that first, then you're going to have a better dressage horse in the end, because you're able to control his feet and he's thinking about what he's doing. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to ask him softly. See how he's thinking about where he's putting his feet down? He's really putting some thought into this, okay? That's important, because I could bring another one out here that stumbles over these things like a drunk, okay? But when I'm on his back and I'm out in tough country, I don't want him stumbling around and falling with me, being uncertain about what he's doing, okay? So you can come out here and spend a lot of time just doing very similar things as we did inside in the round pen in our preliminary videos. Okay. Come on, Pete. And then what you can do, we're going to trot him through there, okay? Come on, Petey. See there, he hit one. But now watch, this time, I bet he's going to be a little more careful, okay? See? You got to let him learn. Come on, Petey. There you go. See there? Now, sometimes you'll come out here and you'll have some real proper horse show people that are measuring between these poles. 3 foot 6 inches, 3 foot 6 inches, 3 foot 6 inches. And then I come and mess them all up. I want this one 3 foot, I want this one 3 foot 6, I want that one 4 foot. Because when we go out in the woods, they don't measure between those logs, you know. So he's got to learn how to rate his rhythm between inconsistent poles. Now, we'll take and we'll line the poles up nice and square sometimes, but I don't know if you can see up on the hill there, Brandon. See those logs up on the hill up there? You know, I mix those things up, and I got different sizes. I got big ones and little ones. I got broken ones, and that's okay, because what I want to do is I want him to be organizing his steps. And you'll find if you take this approach to this, you're going to have a very sure-footed, very reliable horse. And I think that's everybody that calls me that wants a horse, that's what they say they want. And so this is part. Now what we're going to do, this is part of the preliminary steps, okay? So when we get into some mounted work, we're going to come here and we're going to work these poles mounted. And we're going to side pass over them, we're going to back through them, we're going to guide our horse through them. And you know, I'll just tell you, you don't need a fancy horse barn to be a horseman. You just need a few fence posts laid out, You can put them in your neighbor's backyard even if you want to, if you don't have enough room. But I'm going to show you how to use these pulls to develop horsemanship and learn how to maneuver your horse. But you can't ride him through them until you've brought him through in hand, in my opinion. And if you do that, and you know, when I bring him through here, I kind of bring him through and then pull him toward me, okay? So I walk him through and then I turn him toward me, okay? That's a good way to get a horse started doing that, because you'll come out here sometimes and if you try to cast him through him straight, he's going to cheat on you and he's going to want to kind of avoid the poles. So if you bring him up through in between and then bring him back across, he doesn't have a choice but to cross him the first time or two. And you know, it's little things like that where you want to set him up to where he's got to do it right. Don't give him an option to do it wrong. So work with the poles, get him trotting and get him walking through, and you know, try to make it a goal to cross those poles without touching them. And when you get to that point, then we'll move on to something else.